Hey guys, this is the Trig portion of our review. We're going to look at the chapters 13 and 14 from the book if you're using that. We're not doing all of that, but there are some big chunks in there that we're looking at. In your review pack, this is 7, 9, 12, 14, 17, 19, 20 through 23, 28, 29, 31, 37, 41, 42, 44 through 53, and 70 through 78. As you might imagine, there's no way that I'm going to go through all these problems, but I'll try to do a bunch of these to make some sense of them. The approximate value of the angle in this triangle. So we've got some kind of angle here. I'm going to label my sides as opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. We're looking at, we know opposite, we know hypotenuse. That's going to be sine O over H. So sine of theta is equal to 5 over 13. To get that angle by itself, we're going to use that inverse button. So sine inverse of 5 over 13. I'm going to do a quick check to make sure we're in degrees. And when I do that, I get sine inverse of 5 over 13 is about 22.6, which happens to be B. Next up, we've got to solve for x based on this angle. We've got the opposite, the hypotenuse, and the adjacent. Well, we know the opposite. We want to know the adjacent. I know that tangent is going to be the opposite over the adjacent. I know I've got to multiply by x to get out of the denominator. And if I were to divide by tangent of 40, we get an answer of x is equal to 6 divided by the tangent of 40. When I do that out, we get x is equal to 7.15. And in looking through my answers, that appears to be answer D. Here we're going to find x. We're going to use some trig to do that. So I've got an angle. Here's my opposite. Here's my hypotenuse, and here's my adjacent. I know my hypotenuse, and I want my opposite. That's going to be sine. Sine of 37 degrees is equal to x over 22. When I multiply both sides by 22, I get my answer. So we got 22 sine of 37. And that's going to be x equals 13.23 or 24 degrees. And that's going to be C. First up, we've got a diagram. We've got to identify which equation is correct based on the sine of this angle. I'm going to label my opposite, my hypotenuse, and I don't even know why I said the sine of this angle. So based on this angle, and my adjacent, sine is going to be, I'm going to actually write these out. So sine of theta is opposite, I don't know what that is, over hypotenuse. So that'd be question mark over 5, and well, that's not either of these actually. So definitely not sine, okay? Cosine of that angle is going to be adjacent, so 4 over hypotenuse, 5, and that's choice C. To find cosine of 30, we're going to use this set of angles. We're looking at this guy, and we're looking at the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. And in this case, that's going to be y square root of 3 over 2y. I just used the diagram at the top of the page. The cool thing here is that the y's cancel out, and you're left with the square root of 3 over 2. To find the tangent of 60, we got the opposite and the adjacent. That's going to be the y square root of 3 over y. And the y's cancel out, leaving with just the square root of 3. To find the cosine of 60, now we're looking at the adjacent and the hypotenuse. That's going to be y over 2y, which is, those cancel out, leaving me with 1 over 2. For number 37, we've got a trig word problem, a ladder. Okay, it's leaning against the store. So if I've got a store here, if the ladder is leaning against the store, it has a 53-degree angle with the ground. Okay, I can turn this into a triangle. My ladder is my hypotenuse, and what we want to know is how far up the store that reaches. I also know the ladder is 16 feet long, and with this information I can begin to set up a trig ratio. So looking at this angle, we've got opposite hypotenuse. We want to know the opposite. We know the hypotenuse. I could write this as sine of 53 degrees is equal to y over 16. 16 times sine of 53 is equal to y. And actually, you're welcome to leave your answer like this and get full credit for it. If you'd like to go a little bit further, you could do 16 times sine of 53, and I get 12.77 feet. This is supposed to be to the nearest tenth, so that would be 12.8 feet. 41, we've got a triangle. We're given some information and asked to find B. So we're given triangle ABC, where A equals 3, angle A equals 40, angle B equals 27, and we're asked to find B. I can see this is a nice setup for law of sines. And in setting this up, I'm going to write this as sine of 40 over 3 is equal to sine of 27 over B. So I'm going to multiply both sides by B. I'm going to calculate this decimal out, so let's do that now. So sine of 40 divided by 3, we get B times 0.2143. That's equal to sine of 27. I'm going to calculate that out now too. 0.45399. So I'm going to leave that like that. If I divide by 0.2143, we get B is equal to 2.1184 as my answer. 2.12 would be 2 decimal places. 42, we're going to find angle A in a triangle, given 3 sides. As soon as I see that, I want to think a lot of cosines, but let's draw this just to show that. So we've got ABC, and we've got A is equal to 12, B is equal to 19, and C is equal to 21. I'm looking for angle A. That's what I want. We don't have any opposite pairs, so I can't use law of sines for this. Use law of cosines, focused on A, since that's what I'm looking for. So that would be A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of angle A. Plugging things in, A squared is going to be 12 squared. B squared is 19 squared. C squared is 21 squared. Minus 2 times 19 times 21 times cosine of A. Big idea number 1. I'm trying to get this by itself. And in order to do that, I've got to get rid of everything else on this side. Big idea number 2, and the thing to be careful about is this stuff is multiplied by cosine of A. You cannot combine that with the other numbers here. So we're going to get rid of these two by subtraction first, and then do some division to get rid of this stuff over here. Alright, so first up, as I said, we're going to talk about getting rid of these guys. And what I'm going to do is take 12 squared, so 12 squared, which we know is 144. So we get 144. 19 squared should be 381. 361. Whew. I'm glad I actually checked that. 21 squared should be 441. Good, at least I'm not totally off today. And on the other side, I'm left with negative 2 times 19 times 21. It's negative 798 cosine of A. On the left side, if I do that calculation, 144 minus 361 minus 441, we get negative 658 is equal to negative 798 cosine of A. When I do that division, so divide by negative 798, we get cosine of A is equal to 0.8246. To get angle A, we're going to do the inverse cosine. So we're going to do cosine inverse of 0.8246. And we should get something like 34.46 degrees. For 44, to write sine of A as a fraction in lowest terms, all we're doing is labeling our triangle with opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent, realizing that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. That's going to be 5 over 13. For 45, to find x to the nearest hundredth, based on this angle, we've got adjacent and we've got hypotenuse. So this is going to be a cosine function, so we're looking at cosine of 33 is equal to x over 12. When I multiply both sides by 12, that's going to be 12 times cosine of 33 is equal to x. So 12 cosine 33 is going to be x equals 10.06.